Everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
Who's that kid? Nick. He looks like Beaker from Muppets.
The one on FS1, Nick Wright.
Yep. Yeah. I got something.
That's amazing. I did not even. I love that.
If I get 5 women and they're all in the same room with me, we're going at it at 110%.
What's going on, everybody? It's Tuesday night. That means Lazy Booking is live on A2D Radio. We're happy to have you guys back. I'm Chrome, joined as always by my co-host, Eric, or this way.
You were right the first time. Go with your instincts.
Whatever. Yeah, one way or the other. Eric Archer, what's up, my guy?
What's happening?
A whole lot, man. It's been a very eventful week in WWE, and we are excited to talk about it this week on the Lazy Booking Podcast with everybody out there.
Let's go.
So wherever you're at, Facebook, YouTube, X, Twitter, wherever you're at, please like, subscribe, follow, and most importantly, join our conversation. We want your comments. We want to hear what you have to say because we're going to be talking about the 2 big returns last night, as well as John Cena's final appearance, everything basically of Raw Madison Square Garden, a couple little tidbits from here and there, and SmackDown and the Last Time Is Now tournament with the mystery opponents revealed, as well as some interesting sound bites from Tony Khan regarding Adam Cole and his future in pro wrestling on the Ariel Helwani show today. So again, please, guys, join our conversation. We're excited to talk to you. And first and foremost, let's show a little bit of love to our sponsor, Dr. Paul Vidal, specialized physical therapy, physical locations in Burlington and Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And you can find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. No appointment necessary. So any aches and pains, any long-lasting or anything brand new that's come up with you guys, contact the doctor's award-winning team. They'll give you a look over, a little look-see, and they'll get you guys back on track to feeling your best. As we said, Eric, big week this week. And our opening topic, our agree to disagree topic, is Paul Heyman and The Vision must win with the All-Star WarGames match at WWE Survivor Series. Agree or disagree? Again, please, guys, join us. Comment in. We want to hear from you. This is a really, really star-studded match, Eric. And, you know, I can't say there's any surprises in terms of participants. Maybe Drew. Yes and no. But now that it's kind of come to fruition, I mean, they loaded this up with all the pretty much every main eventer of the last 2 years, plus the 2 young guys in the Vision in Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. So very exciting, I think, match that I'm looking forward to. But do you agree or disagree to this opening topic that Paul Heyman and The Vision must win the All-Star Games, War Games matchup coming up at Survivor Series?
So, like you said, I didn't know how they were getting there because it kind of looked for a little bit like, how are we getting in the War Games? Who's going to be in the War Games match? And I have to give WWE credit for getting to this point with these guys. I would say I'm gonna agree to the poll only because I feel like there's 2 guys specifically, and you kind of alluded to them already. There are 2 guys in this match that need to look strong coming out of this match, and it's Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. And the reason for that is we've seen now that they have unaligned themselves with Seth and turning on him, what is next for these 2 guys? And it was clearly going to be, they were looking for world title main event status, kind of going over Seth, and now to this point. And they have quite the team with them. So I want to say they need to come out looking really, really strong, especially if the plan is they're going to go into Royal Rumble WrestleMania season. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of these guys either wins the Royal Rumble or is in a main event match at WrestleMania. So I think they need to at least look strong. But for the poll, I'm going to agree, because to look the strongest, you got to win the match.
Yeah. So I'm going to agree to the poll, but I'm going to agree for a different reason. I mean, it is crazy to think that everybody that's on the face team, so to speak, when you talk about the Usos, you talk about CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, now the head of the table. These guys have been so protected for years, right? And it's like, I'm assuming Jimmy would be in there to take the pin.
Logically, yes.
But it's just an interesting dynamic, right? You have so many top people that have been protected for so many years. It's hard to think that this team could lose. But I look on the other side and you see Logan Paul gets the John Cena spot at one point. You see that, the position that Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker have been put in. But then I look at a guy like Drew McIntyre, who has been desperate for a big win in a big spot. And I think that, it's kind of like a cheat code in a way to kind of maybe find that spot to be here. But I do look at him and I say, this is probably the guy that, of everyone in this match, I can make the argument he's the guy that needs a big win the most. He might be the guy I have to get the final finish, however that comes, whether it's, submission or, whatever. But I feel like this team is loaded with people, but I look at Drew the most and I say, man, that guy really needs this, and he needs to be in the decision at the end of this match. So yes, I would agree to the poll, because for the reasons you said, position the young guys going forward. We're hitting WrestleMania season, this and that. But to me, most importantly, Drew McIntyre needs a little bit of a stock boost. So yeah, no, I'm going to agree to the poll on this one. And again, we want to hear what everybody else thinks out there as well in our comment section.
One thing I would say, though, real quick, Chrome, if you look at both of these teams, there's definitely a lot of ego between the face team. There's a lot of history. You have Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, you have Jimmy and Jay, you have CM Punk. There's a lot of history and a lot of bad blood between all these guys. They've all feuded together. Some of them have aligned together. And on the other side, I mean, Drew and Brock have history, and who knows what Brock's intentions are going to be in this match. Is he going to work well with others? Is he going to go into business for himself in story? Is he going to just F5 everybody and be done? It's kind of intriguing on both sides, because they're going to have to, whoever wins this is going to have to work together. And the way that Roman came in there last night, he just came in to clean house and left. He didn't really say anything. I know afterwards he did have a little bit of eye contact with Punk, but other than that, he wrecked and left. And it's just going to be intriguing how they're going to coexist. And we've seen it in past WarGames matches over the last few years, especially when Roman Reigns is involved. Who's going to be making the call of who's going in first and who's going to be going in last? It's going to be, I love that camera that they have where they show the cage and who's coming in next, because we've seen Roman take charge. We've seen Punk defy him. I would expect to see a lot of that again, especially on that babyface side. So it's going to be really intriguing. And I think they've done a nice job of putting the right people together for the right reasons, and knowing that there could be dissension on either side, more so on the babyface side.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, something's going to happen in this match. I don't know if it's going to be Jey Uso turning, because despite what we talk about, where we need these people, specifically, I say Drew, you said the young guys who need these wins, I think I just don't see that team losing in any kind of a clean fashion, right? So I would have to think that something happens, whether it's I'm assuming Jey Uso maybe turns here. I'm not sure. And you see the dissension, the cracks with the history between Cody and Roman, the history with Punk and Roman, the history with Jey and Punk, the history with Jey and Roman, the history with Jimmy. And I mean, there's a lot of branches coming off of this tree here that they could go down, a lot of avenues they could go, but I have to think that something is going to happen here that's going to cost them. So I think it's going to be a really interesting dynamic here, and to see how this goes. But I think we wanted to see like a John Cena All-Star team, and I felt like that was where we believed this was going to go, and obviously it's not going that way. But for what we're getting, I'm excited for it, and I think I'd be really interested to see where this was going to go if Seth had not gotten hurt. What was the original plan for this matchup? Yeah.
I mean, you could argue that the babyface team would probably be the exact same in this match if that was the direction that they were going to go. You could kind of pick and play. You could kind of put Seth in. You mentioned you didn't know if Drew would be in this match. It could have been Seth being that person, or even Logan Paul. So I think the seeds were kind of planted that there was going to be, we've kind of seen the seeds plant with the bloodline, the original bloodline, where there could be dissension there. So I could see Seth, being a part of that match if that was the original plan. But it is intriguing to kind of know, like, would Cena have been involved in that match? So
Well, I do have a theory. Quickly here, Mystic Misfits. Appreciate your comment in, and
Yes,
obviously
thank you.
Roscoe's jumping in as well. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So stay tuned. Hang with us for the next hour or so for our show, and we are going to dive into the John Cena Last Time Is Now tournament. And appreciate your comment, man. Keep them coming. Yeah, I have a little bit of a theory. We've had our conversations both on air and off air discussing the Brock Lesnar squash of John Cena. And there's a part of me that believes that the injury to Seth changed a lot of things, and not necessarily just everything with division. I think that a lot of seeds were planted for down the road, that everything was kind of sped up. So it would not shock me. And other things fell into place, right? We wanted Dom and Cena. So we're getting the program. Cena gets his big win, his brief title run. I don't know if Dom wins and gets his win back or not. Whether he does or not, to me, is irrelevant. He's getting this incredible spot with John Cena at Survivor Series. So it does curiously make me wonder if we were going to get the Brock Cena rematch, and then Seth was going to be involved in the WarGames match. Not sure, but I would think, because they were teasing a whole lot of things too, in terms of, Seth and Roman having their constant and endless, never-ending, timeless beef. So, yeah, so it's really interesting to think about. That's kind of my theory on it. Kevin says Joe Hendry signing too much a giveaway for Cena to set up. Again, we'll dive into it. First of all, I know it's not in the criteria, but there was so much that happened on the show. So I'm sure Joe Hendry signing, which was massive, in my opinion, for WWE, was going to come up, and I'm glad that it did.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get into the tournament in a few minutes, specifically mystery opponents, who was and was not included. Tony Khan even addressed Adam Copeland and his situation, which I'll mention those comments shortly for anyone that missed it. Not disappointed in hindsight that Joe Hendry's not in this tournament. I'll tell why in a few minutes, but I digress.
I wanted to. I know. Oh, sorry. I wanted
Yeah.
to piggyback off of what you said about the plans changing. So, and I've been a major critic of why the squash, and I'm trying to figure out exactly why that still is to this day. And that could be the logical thing, because I really find it hard to believe that they would just do that for no reason. So there's got to be something that happened where I would hope that they wouldn't just be like, all right, well, we're just gonna have Cena get destroyed by Lesnar and never do anything, never come back to that. So your point could your theory could be pretty close, and it's logical. So I just think that it still could have been handled a little differently and a little better. But I'm sure we'll go into
Sure.
that shortly. But
Yeah, Kevin says I think the Brock squash is a setup for the post Cena era, kind of I beat Cena and I'll beat you kind of deal. I guess kind of the ability to have the Undertaker brag in a new form. So
my only argument to that is he already did that at SummerSlam about 5-6 years ago, and it's like, why do
it
that
was longer than
again?
that. It was over 10 years ago, right?
Was it that long ago? Was it
It was like
2015?
2015.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I mean, regardless,
So
they've already done that. Like,
I,
that's
ag-
where.
I agree, but there's a whole different fan base that have followed WWE since then. They've gotten much bigger since then. So again, I know that we're hardcore fans and we know Brock, but Brock went away for a while. There's a little bit of a turnover where they have more fans that have come on board, and honestly, all they've really known is Brock over the last probably 4 or 5 years. All anybody's really known of Brock is losing to Roman. Like, let's
I
be
don't
honest.
I don't agree with that, but
But look at
probably
his big
because we
programs over the
are
last
because
5 years.
yeah, I mean, if you become a fan since WrestleMania 40, then you're probably right in that, or even over the last 5 to 6 years. But I think
I'm saying the history with Cena
oh yeah, I know
specifically.
what
You
you're
know what
talking.
I
Yeah,
mean? I mean, I know a ton of people who literally have become fans just over the last 5 or 6 years. Who, yeah, they know Brock because he's built up, but they didn't know that he squashed the hell out of Cena back really twice. One of them, Cena came back to win, right? Which was the initial Extreme Rules match of 2012, 13 years, almost 14. It was like February of 2012. And then 2015, when he squashed him at SummerSlam. None of them know anything about that. So there really hasn't been a history between them two in close to a decade. Because Cena has also been away a lot. And again, the majority of what's been Brock's spot over the last 5 or 6 years has been him and Roman, and that's it. And Roman has had the upper hand in a lot of that since WrestleMania 31. The majority of that. That's a fair point. I
oh
mean,
yeah.
how many major programs where you could really I can't think of many that I could say this was incredibly memorable over the last 5 or 6 years, aside from his classic matches with Roman.
I think the matches with Cody were good. The SummerSlam match with Cody was good.
Mhm.
I think that program is very underrated. It kind of put Cody back on
Sure.
the map after his loss at WrestleMania. I think that's one that I think a lot of people don't take a lot of a lot of weight into, is those series of matches where Brock did the honors for him and put him on, got him back on track, because after that 39 loss, you kind of wondered what was next for Cody, and he went right into the program with Brock. I think Brock, to his credit, did a great job in working with him and getting Cody back on track.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. I'm just looking in more of like what you're not wrong. That was a good program. I think it was really important for Cody. I don't think it gets discussed enough because it was kind of in the middle of this incredibly long story with
Yeah,
Roman Reigns, right?
yeah.
But again, I go back to my point of we're hardcore fans. We really like, we go back to them. We're like, great. But if I'm and I'm not even saying a casual fan, but not everybody has, the incredible memory about the history of pro wrestling that we do. So if I'm a fan who watches, and maybe I watch weekly and I watch most of the PLEs, and I became a fan 5 or 6 years ago, my memory is Brock and Roman. There's nothing, he's had little moments here, or 2 or 3 month little programs, but everything has been Brock and Roman. And he hasn't been dominant in that feud since the beginning. So again, I go back to, I believe there is a large segment of the audience that they have now, particularly with how much this company has grown over the last 5 or 6 years, that they might have seen videos, but they haven't seen or experienced the Brock Lesnar dominance of absolutely just crushing everybody in sight until I think now. So again, I don't think that was the end game. It might be now, because plans change, brother, right? Rock all of a sudden decides he's not going to show up for WrestleMania 41. However, that went down. The whole Cena thing went to shit. And I do think on the flip side, and you might totally disagree with me on this, or maybe you agree with me on this, when you talk about, if we have something happen that is completely unforeseen and unexpected, as a Seth Rollins injury, and we talk about what are the pieces that we can move, that we can make something out of it, even if there's nothing there. It's the John Cena farewell tour. So again, that's why I think to myself, I don't know if Cena was supposed to necessarily be in WarGames. Maybe he was. But I think in some form or fashion, there was going to be a comeuppance for Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series, at Survivor Series, to where we would have gotten the conclusion to that. But when Seth got hurt and everything starts scrambling and we have to shift the title around and we have to do this and that, I think that became, well, we're going to move this to here. We need Brock in this spot now. And we know that we can make magic with Dom and Cena here. So let's go down that road. That's just, again, that's me spitfiring. I don't have any knowledge of anything.
Yeah.
But that's my opinion on possibly how that situation went down.
Yeah.
It's
and
logical.
It's logical. Yeah.
So, but getting back to the match. So do you think it's damaging if Paul Heyman's team does not win this match?
Depending on how it happens, it could be, and we've discussed this, where does Drew need something new, right? Is this something where Drew costs them the match, he loses the match, and then the Vision and Brock just tear him up after, and now Drew goes away and maybe he comes back as a babyface? There has to be something, like I said, to agreeing at the poll. The Vision, Braun and Bronson specifically, I think need to look strong. Even in defeat, you could look strong if you do it the right way. But I think the chances of that happening are probably not as strong as the Vision actually, and Heyman's team actually winning this match. But I think the way that they lose, and it could be maybe Logan Paul loses, and they go, and we've kind of heard Bronson saying, "I don't trust him," and kind of just laying a little seed there. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but I could see that happening too, where one of the guys that isn't fully aligned with Heyman costs them the match. But that's the only way I could see that team losing. I don't see Brock taking a pin. That's for sure.
No.
And I definitely, I don't think the Vision takes a pin either. I think it could make sense for Drew, even though it would, like you talked about, it may hurt him even more, unless they're going the babyface route where they're gonna just get him laid out. He goes away until Rumble season and he comes back as a babyface. But besides that, I don't see. It's very hard for me to see Heyman's team not winning this match. I
Mystic
agree.
Misfits again. Vision is being booked as a group of killers, so I think they have to win decisive. I think it's not disagreeing. I don't know about the decisive part. It's hard to win decisive against every top guy in the company. Like, and really, in like 4 of the top 10 guys in all of professional wrestling right now. Like,
Yeah.
let's call a spade, right? So,
Yeah. I think
I
to
would.
Chrome's point, there's one guy on the babyface side that is well less than the others in status right now. And it kind of makes sense that that guy would be the one to take the pin, because I don't think you're going to see, unless we've talked about this also, where's the adversity for Cody Rhodes? Where's the adversity for CM Punk? Do one of those guys get pinned by one of the Vision members? And then it's like, okay, well, I pinned you. Where's my title match? You could see that as well. I mean, there's definitely options to be had in this match, but I think all the signs point to a Vision victory, one way or the other.
Yeah, and I think we have to take into account that you're not going to damage your entire main event scene, right? To make 2 guys, maybe. To me, Logan Paul's already over. I don't think he. I don't think he. I mean, he's had main events against the likes of AJ Styles and everybody else. I don't think that necessarily he needs this spot. I think it's helpful because he is a young guy and he is part of the future of the company. But I just find it hard to believe that they are going to put it all on the line and sacrifice potentially damaging all of those guys in a squash just to get a couple of guys over. I think that one of those 2, well, I said it's Drew. If it's not Drew, I do think one of those 2 needs to be a part of the decision. I don't think it needs to be Brock. I don't think that it needs to be Logan Paul necessarily. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we got people. I love it. Getting our stream reposted. It's
Thank you,
beautiful.
Greg. Thank
Beautiful
you.
thing. So yeah, I think it's a really interesting setup. We're gonna see how it goes. Roman is just is like so over. It's crazy.
I'll tell you what. Another point from last night, when Roman came out, it was wild how little he looked next to Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is just
He's a monster.
He is a monster and a half. I thought he was big before. Holy cow! Like, and Roman's a big guy. Roman's a big guy too. So it's like, it just shows you, like, my goodness, like, I don't know what he's doing up in Saskatchewan, but I need that workout ASAP, man.
Big boy.
What's happening?
Yeah, that's
Agba.
Pete Evans, our boy Pete,
Pete.
OGPA2D. What up, Pete? Greg chimes in. What's up, fellas? Haven't watched Raw yet. Just doing a drop in.
No,
I know you got to get caught up.
He does.
Greg does every week. But I appreciate that you drop in, Eric or Greg. Thank you very much.
It's a good watch. I definitely recommend. Good show.
Listen, I mean, I'm notorious for, before I brought lazy booking back in May, that I would wait till Wednesday, Thursday, Friday sometimes to watch. And I managed to avoid spoilers. I was never, I am more of a poster on social media and less of a scroller. So I never really saw a lot. And I try to use X every now and then. I go through things, but Twitter, but I'm not like a crazy person with that.
Chrome, last night before Raw started, I did the opposite. I scrolled and I got really pissed off because somebody thanks Wrestling Observer. Actually, not thanks Wrestling Observer. Thanks someone for posting, according to Wrestling Observer, what the match was going to be last night with Cena. And I was pissed because I'm like, this isn't what I want to see.
Oh, so you heard about the 6-man ahead of time?
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, is this really what's going to happen? And then lo and behold, yeah, it was. Okay. But regardless, it's like, I think I need to take a little bit of your strategy and stop scrolling and just watch the damn thing and not get spoiled.
Yeah. I mean, Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't watch live because I hate commercials. And despite what our pal says, I never have an issue with commercials. If I start it an hour and 15 minutes into it, I literally watch a commercial free. And guess what? With their commercials, the few times it does have commercials, you can fast forward through them.
Yeah. So if you fast forward 15 seconds, it goes away. That's all you got to do.
There you go.
So yeah, that's all you got to do. Let's not tell him. Hope he's not watching because I don't want to. Let's not tell him.
Yeah.
But everybody else, if you watch, if you're behind 15, just fast forward at 15 seconds. The commercial will go away and it'll come back. So take a hint from Arch. There you go.
There it is. Yeah. Unless it's something major, I don't typically watch live. I would have watched last night live, but obviously I was coming back from Orlando, so I didn't even get in. I don't even think my flight landed till 9:30. So I started it last night when I got home. I finished it today in time for us to do our show. But yeah, let's move on to our second topic here. We talked about this. No, actually, let's dive in here. John Cena makes his final appearance on WWE Raw at Madison Square Garden. You talked about it, was spoiled in terms that, but we do get our match set up for Survivor Series. And so it's weird. So I want your opinion on it, right? Because I think we definitely, unless you've changed, I totally disagree with the take you passed to me earlier that you think this spot, that you think it was a wasted spot. I think it could have been utilized differently, but I don't find it to be a wasted spot either. But please go ahead.
All right. So when I saw that spoiler last night, full disclosure, I was pissed because I expected, and we talked about it last week, and it looked like it was going to go that way too for a minute, where Dom challenges him and we're going to get that IC title match. And then of course they went up doing the 6-man. I think my expectations were extremely high for this moment because of it being in Madison Square Garden, New York City. I said, and the crowd really delivered. The crowd was huge. The old Coop and Big Dom in the crowd, and the Giants and all the very hot crowd.
Side note, real quick, you mentioned that. Crazy to see Scatterboo after that unbelievable injury against the Eagles actually physically getting involved. But I don't know if you saw his response on Twitter today.
No,
so obviously
I'm sure John Mara wasn't too happy hearing about that.
Well, here's what he get a whole bunch of shit, and his response today on Twitter. For anybody who doesn't know, if you're not a football fan, Cam Scatterboo is and I'm an Eagles fan, so it's tough for me to say, but I have to say he's a very exciting rookie running back for the New York Giants, who had a gruesome, devastating injury where he dislocated his ankle against the Philadelphia Eagles, ended his season. So he was in the crowd and a bunch of the Giants. After the match, there was a confrontation during the commercial break between the Judgment Day and all the Giants players where Scatterboo gets involved. And
he shoved JD right down to the ground. That was awesome.
Oh, yes. So they get in a physical confrontation, and people were pissed about it. So on Twitter, he says, "Hey, honestly, if you don't like that I'm having a good time while dealing with a tough time, then just go ahead and unfollow and casually move on. I'm not able to play football and have the fun I've been having my whole life. So I'm doing things outside of the box, trying to find stuff to keep me happy. Enjoy the rest of y'all's week, and just don't talk about me if you ain't got nothing nice to say."
Can I respond to that?
Sure, and good for him though, by the way.
I love it.
Me too. I have more respect for the guy.
Absolutely. And you know what? And I can understand from the business side, John Mara, I'm sure was getting some text messages like, "Hey, your stud rookie running back who's injured is out here wrestling he's out there," probably getting exaggerations. And then, it all comes to light and everything's fine. So hats off to him for getting out there. And I thought it was great. I thought it was really good. And we're Eagles fans. We don't like the Giants. So hats off to him. And I'm glad. I mean, of course, we would have loved if Coop did some sweet chin music to one of the guys, but all good.
For sure. Listen, I think people get way too caught up, and I understand.
Sure.
And we're speculating that John Mara didn't know about it. I don't know what the process is. I don't have. There's a lot of things that we probably have a general knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
ACL, MCL, Achilles, all that kind of stuff is more common. I honestly don't know much on the recovery process of a dislocated ankle and what kind of physicality he can do and not do. So I just think people have way too much to say. And at the end of the day, this man is 100% right. Right? People have, to me, it's an envy. It's jealousy and envy at the position that somebody's in. So they feel like they have to have a narrative on everything. And listen, we have narratives on things, but we're also not like, we try not to be disrespectful in the things that we say. When you go on Twitter, on X, it is a cesspool out there. And
Yeah, it is.
some of the things that they say to these people is an absolute disgusting disgrace. And at the end of the day, I imagine this young man knows what his limitations are. I mean, for Christ's sake, we saw Tyrese Halliburton doing the same thing, and he's out for the season in the NBA, and he was physically involved recently.
Yep.
So I don't know what John Mara knows or doesn't know, and if that is an issue, that's something to be taken up between them.
Yeah.
But the young man knows his limitation
Yeah.
and knows what he can't do, and if that's something he felt strong about, and guess what, his teammates were in with him. I mean, if he really could, and I imagine his teammates would have been like, yeah, let's not do stupid shit.
Yeah, and one more thing on that real quick. I think WWE is smart enough not to put somebody in a position
Correct
to be injured. I mean, for all we know, we didn't see Scadaboo's legs. He could have been like had his leg propped up and did the push. Like he made it happen. So and it was entertaining, and hats off to them for pulling it off. And I hope it's not the end. I'd love to see that. When they come back on the other side, I'm all for it. Let's do it. If Scadaboo was on the Eagles, we'd love. He'd be the one that they're talking about in Philly.
Oh, 100%.
He's a guy that you hate to be on the opposing side.
For sure. Dynasty chiming in. Appreciate you guys. Greg back in. Brian Daly from Flyers Talk A2D chiming in. They'll be at you later tonight saying that Raw was fun last night. It was one of the better Raws they've had in a while.
Agreed.
But yeah, in terms of just to tie a bow on the Scadaboo thing, I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of WWE is a physical, dangerous form of entertainment. They have an incredible relationship with the NFL. And I can't imagine, because listen, this isn't like it's scripted, right? This was done for a reason. It was to get a pop from the crowd. It was to get a boost on social media, to get something going viral, and it did.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine that WWE would go rogue with one of the biggest conglomerate companies in the world, in the NFL, for a viral clip. So again, people having too much to say about something, good for him. And I thought his response was perfect. It was classy. It was insightful to remind people that he's going through a tough time, and who are we to judge what he's going through and what he should be doing while he's going through it. So good for him.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So back to my expectations were very high. I just, looking at what that match was and watching it, it was a very fun match. It entertained me. I'm not saying that it didn't. I think it was very fun. But I go back to kind of the way things have gone in the last few months with this run. And I just don't know if, I'm not saying it was wasted. I think wasted was kind of a term that, I used, but I don't think the talent in the ring deserve better than that. I think the guys in the ring deserve that spot. But I think looking at where these matches have gone and what's happened, I think for me it could have been under a very bright spotlight at Madison Square Garden we could have gotten to the Dom match at Survivor Series in a different way. And I think maybe a match, a one-on-one with Sheamus, maybe a one-on-one with Rey, maybe a one-on-one with Finn, or for the Intercontinental title. And then you have the match and you get to Dom. Dom comes out and does his thing. I think it accomplished what it was supposed to last night. But I think for me personally, I think I was just expecting a little brighter, bigger moment for Cena in that spot.
I don't think. Well, first of all, you're not going to get Sheamus and you're not going to get Finn because they're in the tournament. So what's the point in them being in the tournament if they're getting a
I'm just saying I'm just saying hypothetically.
Sure. No. I know.
Yeah.
I know. In terms of Rey, there's a number of factors there. Rey's coming back from a major injury. Maybe he's not ready for a full one-on-one singles match at this point. And that's, again, that could be it. I don't know or not. My other thing is there are people in this match who would not have gotten this opportunity. There's a person in this match who would never have gotten this opportunity. And it's somebody on the roster who, along with a guy like a Chad Gable, is one of the hardest working, busts his ass every week guys. And I'm talking, he's suffered injuries, he's worked through injuries, and that is JD McDonough, who JD, I thought in this match, despite it being a 6-man tag, looked like $1 million. His offense when he got it in was tremendous. He sold. I mean, it was like peak Ziggler selling. He was unbelievable. And for a guy like JD to say, I was in John Cena's final appearance at Madison Square Garden, it didn't need to be one-on-one. And again, I look at this John Cena run differently. I think we've gotten the meaningful. We went for the heel turn. It didn't work, but they tried it. They've tried to be different. They tried to think outside of the box. We've gotten classic match after classic match after, which at the end of the day for me, I don't care about a storyline. When I do care about a storyline, but when in an instance like this, where we're seeing a guy on his way out and he's giving me the level and quality of match that John Cena is giving me, when I go back and I go back and watch things, I'm going to go to these matches. I'm not going to give a damn about what the storyline was. I'm going to say, I'm going to watch the match because the match alone tells a story. And so for me, we're getting everything. And if John says, I want to work in Madison Square Garden with two guys who I have so much respect for and went up and down the roads with, and I want to go against one of the hottest factions of the last 3 years with a guy like Finn who deserves a spot and two incredibly young guys who deserve that spot with me in Madison Square, who am I to say it's not the right move? And again, I feel like you got what you wanted, and it was, can we give the spot to somebody who maybe wouldn't normally get it? Was it for the Intercontinental title? No, it wasn't. But I thought JD looked unbelievable in this match. Like, honestly, aside from Cena, I couldn't take my eyes off of how well he was working. And again, that's the whole purpose of it. So I don't think this was wasted at all. I got a bonus that I didn't expect, and that was to see JD McDonough get an opportunity to work with John Cena at Madison Square Garden. Like, damn, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, like I said, wasted's probably the wrong term. I think the expectations were very high coming off of last week. Last week was very dramatic, very exciting, it was an amazing moment for Cena. And I think going from Boston to New York City, the Big Apple, Madison Square Garden, the Mecca, Cena's last appearance, and we get a 6-man tag. Now, at the end of the day, the 6-man tag was excellent. I thought the match was very fun, and you're spot on. JD was excellent, and I think he deserves a bigger push. I fully agree with that, and I'm glad he was given the opportunity. Like I said, not taking anything from any of the talent in the ring, because they all all deserved to be in there, and they all did a fantastic job, and it was entertaining, and it was I enjoyed the match. I just think my personal expectations for this match were just something more impactful than just a six-man tag. I think for me it was, all right, you're the Intercontinental Champion now. Maybe we have an open challenge, or we do something with that, like have another big or even bigger moment than the week before. I think the moment was big, but I don't think it. I think the week before was bigger than the moment this week, and maybe that was intentional because it's Cena's hometown. Maybe that was the intention, but I was just expecting it to be bigger than it was.
And I understand the logic and the thought process. I have a different mindset of this. I don't expect every week to top the next week. And I feel like, I'm not saying you're necessarily saying through the whole run it should have been that way, but I get what you're saying. You're talking about Boston, New York, then his last match in DC. Like, we should be making these last 3 or 4 appearances be the absolute most peak that they could be. I don't necessarily agree, though, in terms of I have tapered, or not tapered. I've stopped going into every week with these monstrous expectations. I have 2 more appearances of John Cena. 3 was going into last night. And I'll be honest with you. Whatever happens in his final match, Boston was unexpected to me. I've already gotten what I think is going to be the signature of this run for me, and it's going to be his match against Cody at SummerSlam. I was so taken by surprise at the level that he performed at for the time that he did with Cody Rhodes in that match. And then the match with AJ Styles, that, I'll be honest, like, I don't know if anything can top it. And for me to expect them to do it every week is very hard. Like, I don't even think the Intercontinental title win, it's amazing for him. It makes him a Grand Slam champion. I don't think it sniffs those things. And, do I want his final appearance to be a stinker? No. But he's already exceeded my expectations with the run just in the second half of it, when he went back to being the John Cena we wanted and the quality of that he's given us, that I don't feel like we have to top last week, this week, every week at the end of this. Like, and I almost feel like that, yes, I have a very high expectation that his final match, and maybe not even necessarily the match, but how the night is presented and how it ends, is going to be something that I don't want that to trip and fall on its face. That would be extremely disheartening to me. But everything else leading up to it, I'll be honest, Sarah, like, for me, I'm just rolling with it. Whatever John wants or whatever they do, I'm just appreciative now that, because he's performing well too, that I'm glad that we're not getting, because a lot of the guys who get these final runs, like Flair looked rough down the stretch. I'm glad that we're getting him at such a high level that whether it's a 6-man tag or whether it's, a world title match or an impromptu Intercontinental title match or just an open challenge or whatever it ends up being, that he's performing at the level that he is. I just think it's so special that I've stopped putting expectations on everything. You know what I mean? That's just me.
Yeah. And I would say to that, it's my expectations are just high because we only have now 2 more dates of Cena. So you want to see the guy that has put in so much to this company and to the business. You want to see him go out on a high note, and every opportunity now you're down to 2. So these 2 matches are going to be the last images of him in a WWE ring. So you want to see him in the ring with people that are going to, like he has said from the beginning of this run, he wants to make it better than where he left it. So these 2 matches here, and we talked about it last week, where I thought Dom was the right guy. If they were going to do a return match, which they are, and we're getting it, I think he's the right guy for that opportunity, because he's going to be your guy for the next decade or even longer. He's going to be your main, one of your main guys, if not the main guy. So I think looking at where they're going, I think I'm going to get what I'm looking for, and I agree with you that last match. I have high expectations too, and of course we don't want them to stink up the joint. And I think, looking at where the tournament is, and I know we're going to talk about that in a minute, but where that's going, I don't see that being an issue. I think it's going to be a great match. Depending, let me start over. I think
Depending on
whoever that guy is
Right.
is going to take care of Cena, and vice versa. I think it'll be a good match.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, again, I think you're totally spot. We're not that far off base with
No.
anything. I think when people look back at Cena, we're talking about the last images, right? I don't think people are going to say his third to last match is something that I'm going to go back and I got to see what that was. Like, I don't. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think people will look back at Saturday night's main event. I think people will look at things from this, and they're going to look at SummerSlam, and they're going to be like, oh, I heard about this great match with AJ Styles. Like, those are, like, there's moments there. It doesn't have to be necessarily in a sequential order. You know what I mean? And I guess that's the point I'm getting to. He's hit us with a number of memories that, good and bad, the follow through stunk, but the heel turn was still. I made the comparison before. I'll say it again. It was Austin turning on Rock and turning heel and joining McMahon at 17, because the follow through was terrible on that. However, it is still looked back as an iconic moment in terms of an instant shock. It'll be there forever. There's going to be things from this that are going to be unbelievably timeless.
Spot on.
I like I said, when I went back and when I think of Shawn Michaels is my favorite wrestler of all time, probably, like in-ring performer.
Mm-hmm.
And when I go back and I watch Shawn Michaels matches, I don't say, what was that fourth to last match when he was in, Rhode Island, and like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't. I don't say what was Shawn Michaels' last match when he was at Madison Square Garden. I'm curious. Like, you know what I mean? I just don't. It's just me again. But but to your point, I know what you want, and that's why you're passionate about it. And I think that you've gotten it. But if we don't look at it as like these final spots, and we look at the totality, especially since SummerSlam, what we've gotten, I think that kind of satisfies that hunger, probably more so than what we're looking at in the moment. For all we know, John Cena might have said, I want to work with my buddies, but I want to give this kid JD a chance to step in the ring with me.
Sure.
And that might be what he wants. We're talking about it. We want it to be, he wants to leave things better than it was. And JD McDonough is an afterthought way more often than he should be, as Chad Gable was for many years. And the opportunity for him to step in Madison Square, John Cena might look at that and say, this kid's something special. That's a kid. I'm gonna let him step in the ring with me. But I don't have that much time. Ray just came back from injury. Maybe he didn't expect the opportunity to step in the ring with Ray. Didn't Sheamus come back from injury fairly recently too?
Yeah.
So it's like, maybe these guys weren't in the cards, but he said, like, I want to be in front of a crowd with these guys, and this is the way I could do it. So again, a lot of factors to it, but we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, we talked about it getting into the tournament, obviously with Cena. We've talked about it for weeks. We get our surprise entrance. Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona, and Nick Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler as their old characters.
Like I said last week.
Yeah, so you were right, but I don't like it. I didn't. If Cardona, here's what I want from Cardona, because I'm confused. Is he now signed with WWE? He makes it. No, he's not. It almost seemed
Fightful reported it was a one-timer for Cardona.
okay. Because what I would love to see is for Cardona to come back and continue to come out that way, or at least the next time he comes out, and then just turn heel and be like, screw this. This is what this company and this machine wants me to be. I'm not that. I went out, I became the king of the death match and the king of the indies. I'm Matt freaking Cardona. I'm not Zack Ryder. Stick your
And who's
woos
to
up
say?
your ass.
And who's to say they don't eventually?
And
I
you're
think
right.
it opens a door. It gets the door open a little bit to see if there's interest, and clearly they loved it. Where were they? Where were they Friday? Were they upstate New York? I don't even remember. But the crowd was great. They loved it. I wouldn't be surprised.
Radio.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the only reason that they had them come out to those to the WWE product trademarks is to sell merch, which both of them are selling merch on the website now. So it could be just a matter of that, like, hey, let's put it out there. We'll sell some shirts. And according to Cardona on his X page, it's moving. So, I mean,
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah, hats off to them for taking advantage of the situation. I mean, it's a business, right? So, I'm not as up in arms on that. I think the WWE audience remembers these. They weren't gone that long ago. So over the last few years, so the WWE audience knows them by Zack Ryder and Dolph Ziggler. But to your point, it, like we said, it opens up a possibility, especially for Cardona, because he's already been seen on NXT as Cardona. We've kind of seen, and people know him as the indie god, and he's made a huge name for himself. It's kind of in comparison to Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes, where they went back to the indies, they made a name for themselves, they've made their way back. It made full circle. So this is a great opportunity for him. And now that they see that, oh, we can sell some merch out of him, why not? Let's cross that bridge when your TNA contract or whatever contract you're on expires. We can bring you back. I think it's especially for Cardona. I think, for Dolph, for Nemeth, it's I loved it. I thought it was great, and he puts anybody over like $1 million. He did that last night. That turnbuckle spot where he went in face first, dude, that was awesome. So I thought it was great. I think both delivered and did what they came to do. They got the surprise reaction, unless you were scrolling like Arch was. But either way, you got a little ex WWE feel. You got a little shock value, and I thought it brought out a good part of this tournament where, hey, you're going to see guys that you haven't seen in a while that don't work here. It definitely delivered. Now, I know we talked about, that one name that we thought could possibly be in it that wasn't. And I know you said, I think we were talking about, you were okay with that. I was too. I think his time will come. There's no rush. It could be Royal Rumble. It could be whenever. There's no rush for him. And I think in comparison to Ryder and Ziggler, where they came in and did the job, you don't want Joe Hendry to do the job. You want him to win and advance. So you want him to look good. So to that point, if you don't have him planning on being that final guy, why put him in it?
I agree. And I don't know what it benefits him, because at the end of the day, yeah, there's cool moments. People are going to remember Ziggler and Ryder being in it. But Joe Hendry is now a signed WWE talent. This is not a guy who's going to come in and do the spot like he did with Randy Orton at WrestleMania. He already came in and filled a spot, and they got a pop, and they got a social media viral moment from it. we don't want him to become the guy who just comes in for a viral pop. Like, I think there's big plans for this guy. I think they really believe in him, and you heard Hunter talk about him in post games or pressers or whatever the hell they call them, scrums. They believe in him, and Hunter said when the time comes, if the future leads him to WWE, which it has, he believed that he would be a big player for the company. So we're here, and I agree with you. If he's not going to be your final guy, there's no need to put him in there. He is now under your roster. We don't need to tinker with anything that doesn't need to be fixed. And real quick, I just want to do a cheap plug for us while we got some people on here. Since we're talking about the John Cena farewell tour and whatnot.
What are you doing, bro?
Let's not forget, bro, in a couple of weeks. Make sure you guys come back. There. Well, hold on. It's going to pop up. There we go. Technical difficulties. Don't forget to come back in a couple of weeks, guys. We're going to be joined. Oh, let me get this stinking banner off of here. There we go.
Join us on December 9th and December 16th, baby.
Yeah, bro. We're going to be joined by a man who is a legend in the business, special guest co-host, not just a guest. We're not going to talk about his career. Well, we might a little bit, but we're going to be talking wrestling and booking and decisions and John Cena and everything else with legendary Vince Russo, who's going to join us for 2 weeks as a guest co-host to talk everything the John Cena farewell tour and help us preview and recap his final appearance. And I'm actually really interested, since we're talking about it, Eric, to talk to him about Nick Nemeth and Matt Cardona's appearances and see if he agrees if they made the right decision to bring them back in their original characters or not. It was cool. Like, I would have been cool with the music, but to have them appear with their regular names. I loved hearing Dolph's music the Dolph music.
Mm-hmm.
And I did like hearing, like, Reiner's sounded different though.
Yeah, I don't think that was the original. I think that was
they probably lost the rights to that.
Probably a Def Rebel remix or whatever, whoever's doing their music now.
Yeah. So, but I thought Javon Evans looked amazing last night, by the way. Kid's going to be an absolute superstar for WWE. And Gunther, again, doesn't matter what your working style is. Gunther just comes in and works with anybody. And him and them look like money. And we've seen it. Maybe the only person he had a not so great match with, depending on what your preference is CM Punk. Everybody else he's been tremendous with.
He made Goldberg look like $1 million, and that's very tough.
I mean, he really did.
50-plus-year-old Bill Goldberg.
Absolutely. And we've talked about it. Obviously Gunther gets the win. I think Gunther's going to be the finalist in this tournament. I think he's going to win it all. And again, I don't think you keep him out since SummerSlam if there wasn't a bigger vision for him. And it's a guy who needs it. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, I think it's Gunther versus, I would imagine, either LA Knight or Jay, because that looks like the way the bracket's going. So, I mean, we've seen him against Jay. I kind of would like to see him against LA Knight just to see a different match. But
now, if it's LA Knight, though, like, do you back yourself into a corner that if LA Knight gets to the finals, you almost feel like he has to go in?
It's a good point. I think with LA Knight, it's kind of that, like, continues to fall short thing. Maybe they're going somewhere with that. Maybe it's kind of like he's come up short over and over and over again. Maybe they're going somewhere with it. Who knows? But that's a good point. But again, like, do you want him to lose to Jay? It's kind of the same thing. Are you putting yourself in a corner against Jey Uso now? You're going to face Jey Uso in that bracket. Does it make a difference either way? But I don't know. It's a good point, though.
Yeah, I mean, so what are the last two matches we have coming up now?
Penta versus Finn and not Javon Evans. Carmelo Hayes versus who's Carmelo facing?
Trying to pull it up now.
My 44-year-old brain isn't working tonight. But yeah, I would imagine Penta will face whoever the heel. I would imagine. I forget who Javon's facing.
Bronson Reed.
I keep saying Bronson Reed. Yeah, that's another one that you could see him getting there too.
Yeah. So as of now, we have those two final matches. So Gunther's going to face the winner of Carmelo Hayes and Bronson Reed. I have to think that Carmelo's going to win that match.
Something would probably happen where someone would interfere. Maybe going into that WarGames, you kind of plant those seeds there.
I think that's what we get. And Solo Penta or Finn. I would love to see
probably Penta.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see. Let me ask you this question before we move on to the Women's Intercontinental title. Because I was thinking about this today. Are we disappointed that neither Nick Nemeth, Ziggler, or Ryder Cardona made it to the second round? Because I'm disappointed. I feel like they could have put one of them through. Because it's kind of, real quick, it's kind of same old hat with these two that we're bringing them in to do the job. And what I would like to have seen, and again, I get it. They're not your contracted talent. But you work with TNA, and Cardona's kind of been like friendly with the company for a while at this point. Like, why couldn't we put somebody else through here? Like, I'll be honest, you had the out with Solo Sikoa. You could have had him. You could have had any of those guys. There's 5 people that have an issue with Solo Sikoa right now. You could have had any of them come out and cost them. You could have had, his guy try to interfere with Ziggler, and then one or two of, the machine guns come out, and then that distracts Solo. Ziggler gets a win. There's a lot of ways you could have did it, but that's where, the conversation I saw today was were the names disappointing, which I was not disappointed by the names.
No.
It's kind of along the lines I expected. And B, was there a better way to kind of, I guess, could they have been highlighted in a better way? And I do think they could have. I wasn't disappointed at all. I think you could have put one of those guys over.
Especially you talked about, especially Cardona, like we talked about a little bit ago. That's a guy that you could easily bring back as his indie god gimmick persona and make him a bona fide star. He's already a star. So there was an opportunity, especially for him. And I brought it up on Anecdotes with Arch. I could have visually seen Cardona get that last match because there is a little bit of history there, not like a feud, but they worked together a little bit in the early 2010s. But it could have worked, and it could have been believable too. I wouldn't even have minded him facing Gunther to get that final match. If you were still going to go with Gunther, you could have given him a run. But I think the mentality probably is we're gonna build our guys, especially the way they were paired. I mean, LA Knight needed a win, and it was tough to imagine him having another loss. And then Solo, they've built him back up to where he was losing every match in 2024, and now they're picking up the pieces. So
I think they've done a really good job with Solo. I think they've done an excellent job with Solo, actually.
Agreed. That's another one, Dynasty. I don't understand. Truth was, I guess, in the randomized ball thing because Aldis told him he was in the tournament, or he was in the ball, like the ball thing, the randomized thing. So that kind of surprised me too that he wasn't in it. because they kind of teased it, but
Well, so I don't. All right. So as far as truth goes, I saw him speak recently. Couple sides to this. So A, he is back to being our truth, and he said himself when John Cena went back, there was a want for him at first to do the whole Ron Killings thing. But then he realized that the fans wanted our truth. That's who they wanted to come back. And so it was his decision to go back to being our truth. And they utilized the storyline. If John Cena can find his way, so can I, which is kind of essentially what he's kind of alluded to. I did not want to see our truth in this tournament. What I would like to have seen, though, if we're back to our truth being our truth, instead of handing his balls off every week, I would rather have seen them do something where, and the mystery opponent is, and then he comes out, and then they come out and say, truth, you're not the mystery opponent, and he does the, oh, my bad. I would have rather have seen that.
that would have been great.
Yes, I thought that might be where we go with that, and we didn't, and that was a little bit disappointing. But in terms of him in the tour, I don't want it. We had him in this John Cena run already twice.
True. But to our last point, based on those mystery guys and how they were bracketed and who they faced, would you have been okay with R-Truth facing Zack Ryder and then having Zack advance?
Yeah, if
to
they
the booking, going to the booking aspect of it rather than the pairings.
They could have, but they have people in it they want to be in it that are with the company that, for the most part, have more of an active participation on the show. So,
oh yeah, I agree. I think the guys in it.
But to your point, yes, if we were going to get to the result that I would like to have seen, which was one of them go over, yes, you could have done R-Truth, and that would have been completely fine. So, it is what it is. That's where we're at. I think it'll be interesting going forward. A couple more quick topics here that we want to touch on before we hop off in the next, say, 15 minutes or so. Be off by 8:30 at the latest. But yeah, let's dive into Maxine upsetting Becky Lynch for the women's Intercontinental title. I know you didn't have to ask me, Eric, because it was already going to be a topic of conversation. But you were very specific in that you wanted us to make sure that we included this as a topic of conversation on tonight's show. So let's get into it. Obviously, we've built to this match with Maxine and Becky. And I did say it weeks ago. Becky I felt like this is where we were going because Becky has done a tremendous job at building Maxine and featuring Maxine, somebody who was unexpected and I think has improved dramatically in the ring. But Maxine puts on a great showing, right? There's a moment you think Becky might tap. I thought Becky did a great job selling that moment. And then obviously we get the wah, 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 let's light it up, light it up, light it tonight. We get AJ Lee returning for the first time since WrestlePalooza to distract Becky. No physical interference. She just kind of stands out and looks at her with her creepy face and waves to her. Becky's distracted. She turns around. Maxine hits her with the crossbody, gets her with a pin. 1, 2, 3. Shocker. Huge upset. Maxine Dupri wins the Intercontinental title at Madison Square Garden from Becky Lynch. Let's get your thoughts on that, my man.
Everybody can relate to an underdog story, and everybody loves the underdog when they accomplish what they're trying to accomplish. It's such great storytelling. And regardless of who it is, and you can question other people maybe have more time than Maxine or you feel are more deserving than Maxine, but Maxine's story is quite impressive. She was a walk-on tryout a few years back. She was a cheerleader for the LA Rams, worked her tail off, and now she's an Intercontinental Champion. What better story is there to tell? And you can't say Becky Hogan anymore.
Mm-mm.
Becky did the honors and put over a talent like $1 million. So for those people that are hating on Becky Lynch about, oh, Becky's always on top and Becky this and Becky that, you know what? She did the honors. She put her mind into this story, and I'm sure it was all orchestrated by her because she liked what she saw in Maxine and saw an opportunity to put this young lady over and give her an opportunity. And there was a series of matches where she got close and then she got closer and then we get one more opportunity, and telling the great story of the underdog successfully making it, it's like Rocky. It's like any other underdog story you've seen on TV, in the movies, in real life. It's and you talked about how Becky has been tremendous as a heel. Like when she lost the title, her mannerisms and her reaction and just unbelievable and so well done. And I'm sure Becky's going to get her win back, and she's going to probably find a way to weasel her way back to that title. But we've set up eventually, and I'm sure this is the end game, where it's going to be Becky against AJ Lee, probably WrestleMania.
Mhm.
But in the meantime, and we've talked about with other titles where maybe it's okay to have somebody that isn't expected to win a title and carry it for a little bit. Add a little intrigue and suspense, and anything could happen sort of mantra on the program, because we've talked about it. There are times where it's like, all right, there's a title match, but we know they're not going to win the title. But we get there, and now it just shows that anything can possibly happen. And it was entertaining to watch it, and it was entertaining to unfold. And hats off to Maxine for getting better and working her butt off. And I'm glad she was recognized accordingly.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head in your synopsis of how this whole story is kind of developed and gone, and in terms of the great work that Becky's put in, and even Maxine, right? And the whole, like, I'm not accepting this match until I'm ready. I know I need to be ready for this. This is going to be the biggest battle of my life. And I've been training for years under Master Gable and where everybody else, the Alpha Academy. I need to make sure I'm ready for this fight because it's going to be the biggest match of my life. And she takes it at Madison Square Garden and she gets it done. Becky, and obviously Becky's, she's that kind of classic, super annoying, super egotistical. I'm better than everybody. I'm the greatest women's wrestler of all time, overlooking my opponent, heel. And it's worked really, really well. I think she's put Maxine over so much more than anyone expected. And what's nice to see is you constantly see people say, well, we need to put more people over. There's not enough of that. And then out of the other side of their mouth, they say, like, Maxine, really? So, like, WWE making an effort to make a new talent. And we don't know the work that's been put on behind the scenes to judge it. But I think she's gotten more serious of a character as time's going on. And I think that, to your point, I think Becky has probably realized and seen a lot of the work that's been put in and said, I'm ready to put this girl over.
I think too, she probably sees a little bit of herself in Maxine. And when Becky
Sure.
first started in NXT, she was super green, not ready. She quit, and then she came back, and then circumstances for what it is, she wound up becoming probably at the time the biggest star in the WWE when she won at WrestleMania. And for her to give back and see that in a talent such as Maxine, it just goes to show you the selflessness of the person. You know, we know the character, we don't know the person, and it's clear that the person saw something in the other person that we're not seeing, to your point, and making them get that opportunity. Like, hey, like, I see something in you. Keep working hard, and showing that hard work does pay off.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, it's just an exciting situation right now.
Yeah.
And again, we're making new talent in a division that I think needs it. So we'll see what's going to happen. Really great storyline. Is this one of the? I'll ask this question, then we'll move on to our final topic. Would you say in the last 5 years this is one of the best storylines they've done on the women's side?
It's up there.
It's hard for me to think of many that are better.
And very patient storytelling, right? It wasn't
Yes.
like a 2-week, all right, we're going to have a match. Like, they had a series of matches that told a story each time. Maxine lost. Okay, we get another match. Maxine gets closer. Gets another match. How many did they have? They had 3 or 4 matches, right? So like each time she got closer and closer, and then, like you said, she was going to get another opportunity. She admitted, like, hey, I'm not ready. Give me some time, and made the most out of that last opportunity. So I think in storytelling, and that's something that is lacking, and we talk about that on the SmackDown side, where there's really not a lot of storytelling going on, especially with Tiffany. We talk about that, like, it's something that's really lacking in a lot of the especially on SmackDown. I think Raw's been a little better. You've seen story with the Kabuki Warriors. Actually, I'm wrong. I think the Alexa Charlotte story has been very, very good as well.
Agreed.
But I think too, it just goes to show, if you have some patience and utilize other talents that may not be the big stars, you're only building that bench more for when unfortunate circumstances happen. We talk about when Liv got injured and how they were scrambling to get somebody, and they had to bring Becky back. It just, when you have the people there that can fill that gap, if somebody was to unfortunately get injured, because it's the nature of the business, right? So somebody's going to have to be ready for that next spot. And why not Maxine? Why not somebody else on the roster? I think this goes to show that they can take care of their bench while also taking care of their big stars as well.
Agreed. So yeah, our final topic, I think it's important that we bring it up. It's been trending all day, so we should really give our thoughts on this. So we mentioned earlier, Tony Khan appeared on the Ariel Helwani show, and he discussed the Adam Cole future of professional wrestling. First and foremost, I mentioned it earlier. So he did discuss the Adam Copeland situation, and in that, it was a very brief. But Ariel Helwani asked him, "Did WWE ever approach you about Adam Copeland being a part of the tournament?" And he flat out said, "No, I was never asked." He did not, acknowledge or deny whether he would have allowed it. He did the typical Tony Khan. Adam's a great part of the company, and he's away filming right now, and he's such a big part of what we do here. And when the time is ready, we'll bring him back, and he's a part of AEW, and he's still under contract for he didn't say a specific time frame. But we expect Adam Copeland to continue to be a big part of what we do here in the future. He gave the typical Tony response that we've heard a million times. I would like to have seen a little more transparency on that, but I mean, that's his prerogative. He doesn't have to. I don't think there's a chance in hell he would have let him do it. but I could be
No.
wrong. I could be wrong. I wish that one of these groups would like reach across the aisle.
Olive branch. Like an olive branch. Like, hey, like
Yeah,
I
like
think it
there's a
would benefit
way
both of us. Let's talk.
for sure. Like there's a way to do it.
Yeah.
And I really wish they would figure out a way. But again, maybe Adam Copeland, despite the fans ask for it, maybe he was never even a thought. Maybe that relationship is just non-existent to where WWE's like, we're not even going to bother. But anyway, getting back to it, they asked him about Adam Cole. So it does sound like, unfortunately, that Adam Cole's in-ring career, in a best case scenario, is in serious jeopardy. He's had a lot of concussions, major injuries, ankle injuries. I don't remember if he had a neck injury at some point, but he's been really banged up. And so he basically said, if he's more worried now for Adam that is he comfortable to travel regularly, let alone stepping into the ring, because he did. He's under contract, and they do believe that if it's not in ring, there's opportunities. He's done commentary, he's hosted events for them, and they would like for him to continue to do work for AEW. So I think for me, Adam Cole is one of my favorite, might be a top 3 favorite in-ring performers for me over the last handful of years, particularly when you look at his NXT run, how unbelievable that in the Undisputed Era was. But it just seems like such a like tragic story of a guy who he has all of the talent in the world, the personality, and is a good human being. So like if outside of the ring, outside of professional wrestling, stepping away and getting to actually know or see the real person, I don't know personally. I have met him, and it was it was an incredibly kind interaction. But seeing how he is and the way he is, and I do have friends that are mutual friends with him who have talked about what a genuine human being he is. It's very sad because I think that he could have been $1,000,000 in WWE. And I'm not making this about a WWE AEW thing, but I worry that I have said that the AEW in-ring style is a very high level glorified independent wrestling style compared to a lot of other like WWE, which I do think is more of a storytelling methodical style. It has things like that. Go and look at what Penta matches in AEW were like compared to what they are in WWE now. And they're not any less entertaining, but they're the unnecessary risks. Phoenix is one. The unnecessary risks aren't there, but they still take your breath away with some of the things that they do. And I worry what his story could have been if he would have stayed with WWE. And it just makes me sad because this guy should be a world champion somewhere, or he was the TNT champion. He was doing a great job with that title for AEW for the injury announcement before All In. But I want to get your thoughts on this because it doesn't sound like we're going to get Adam Cole back in the ring unless something changes medically with him.
Yeah, like you said, very anticlimactic set of circumstances, and I'm with you as far as what could have been. And I think during his NXT run, he was caught in that NXT 2.0. I think that was kind of when Bruce Pritchard took over that whole situation, and he wasn't re-signed. So Triple H was out of power at that time. So circumstances were what they were, and he wound up in AEW, and I think he did a great job for the stories that were involved. They had that the feud with MJF which unfortunately, due to injury, was not exactly how it was supposed to pan out. And
That story was so good too.
it was. They were so
For
it was
both of
so
them, they
over.
both got hurt.
Yeah. The tag team, they worked together so well, and it brought out a different side of MJF that we hadn't seen. So it was very entertaining. I thought it was awesome. And it's unfortunate that I think that was the ankle injury at that point that sidelined him and kind of took everything and kind of messed everything up. But I think, to your point, and of course injuries are going to happen, right? This is professional wrestling. It's not ballet, as they say. And injuries happen all the time, no matter what company you're working for. If you're working in the indies, if you're working for WWE, if you're working for TNA or whatever, or whoever. But to your point, it's very fair to ask yourself, does the ring style in AEW play a role in more injuries? And I have to say yes. I think you saw in that blood and guts match where we're doing things that are not WWE style whatsoever. And hopefully nobody was injured in that match, but the risks, do they outweigh the reward? Does the reward outweigh the risk? And I don't know. And you have to ask Adam Cole that question. Did the risks, I'm sure he'd love to still be competing, of course. And do some of the spots that he did play a role in his career being, in serious jeopardy? It's very possible. So, I hope it's not the end, but at the end of the day, he's got to take care of himself. And I appreciate Tony Khan being transparent. And if you get an opportunity, listen to that. I saw some pieces of it, but he didn't shy away from any questions. And that one, I mean, he could have been like, well, he could be back and could have played promoter, but he was very honest with his situation. And you could tell that Tony was visibly upset with that situation. I'm sure he feels terrible that one of his top stars and could have been a world champion, absolutely, in either company.
Mm-hmm.
Is possibly his ring days could be numbered. So I think it's a sad story all around. The fans are going to lose seeing this guy, and the guy may not be able to do what he has trained to do and dreamed to do for probably since he was a little kid. And it's tragic and it's sad, but hopefully he can, like to your point, hopefully he has an impact in the business in another way. I know even in NXT, there was talk of him possibly being a manager at some point or coming up to the main roster. I know there was talk about that when he was with WWE, but I mean, he could be a manager for somebody and be an outside presence, but I'm sure that's not what he would prefer to do. But if he can still be in the business, then what other choice does he have?
Yeah. Like I said, it's a tough spot. Appreciate Tony's transparency on it. And obviously we wish Adam Cole the best.
Yeah.
In his recovery. Raska asking about Flyers Talk A2D Hockey Happy Hour. So programming alert, I was not aware of until a few minutes ago. They are not on this week. So we're all you get this week.
You're stuck with us.
As far as the Tuesday night show goes. We're what you get. But we appreciate y'all obviously dropping in and commenting in.
Appreciate it.
And listen, it's going to be, I imagine, another great week. Next week, we're going to have our Survivor Series preview show.
Woo-hoo.
And then I
think we might have lost them. But I think Survivor Series over the next couple weeks is going to be, we're going to start seeing the build up for WarGames. I'm sure we're going to see more interaction. I think we have a couple more weeks until Survivor Series. So it's going to be really interesting and it's going to be a lot to talk about. I think we also, and I hope to drop anecdotes with Arch here over the next couple weeks. I want to start digging into Survivor Series history and possibly some Cena history. So it's going to be a lot of good chatter over the next few weeks. But we will be around, and we appreciate everybody. It looks like Chrome got lost. He tapped out, but it's always a pleasure to join you guys, and we appreciate all the support. And please take a like and subscribe to our show, and tell us and give us your thoughts on everything going on. Definitely a lot was going on this week, so definitely appreciate it. And I'll give Chrome a few more minutes here. I don't have access to the chats, but if anybody's got anything to add, I am here. But yeah, I think like we were saying earlier, WarGames looks to be very exciting, and I know there was a couple other matches that had been announced. I think with Cena and Dom, and then I believe, is there another match added? There was a little bit of tease last night with the women's match. It looks like AJ Lee, after she interfered with the Becky and Maxine match, that we saw a little bit of a tease of who could be joining the women's babyface side. So, and I would imagine we're probably going to see Charlotte Flair take that fifth spot. I think they're just teasing it, and I like that too, because it definitely gives some excitement to the and it, like we always say, it doesn't insult people's intelligence when there's actual feuds that are going on out that have happened, and we have amnesia when we don't remember them. I was talking about the women's WarGames match.
Oh yeah. Sorry about that. Internet decided to kick me out.
Now
kicked me out. It went off, and then
you were like frozen like this.
Yeah. I was doing like a stretch. Out. Yeah.
But I was just saying,
women's WarGames sounds interesting, and it looks. I'm guessing AJ Lee is going to be the next.
That's what I was saying. Then I said I think Charlotte Flair will probably be the fifth. They're just teasing it, and I like the fact that they're not insulting intelligence, where Rhea and Charlotte don't have actual beef, and right. there's that clash there of ego there, which is good to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just said over the next few weeks we're gonna we'll dive into Survivor Series, and
sure. And I imagine Becky's going to probably be the fifth member on the other team.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so I was saying, because when is Survivor Series? 2 weeks from now?
It's the 29th or the 30th.
Okay. So
we've got.
So next week, I don't know if you're right. It's 29th. It's after Thanksgiving. We're going to be on Monday. I don't know what your deal is. Our old pal Blue Meanie. We're gonna jump on and talk some Eagles football.
Nice.
So Arch, if he can, he's gonna join us. If not, I'll be on with Brian. Regardless, we're gonna do our quarterly check-in with the Blue Meanie. He's gonna join us as a guest to talk Eagles football. Next week we'll recap everything. So I'm like a week behind. I'm thinking next week is the Survivor Series preview show. We're also gonna be working on another concept. Like a round table, so to speak, for Survivor Series. I don't know if we're going to do that here on A2D. If there is time and they allow us, we will. If not, we're going to do it on our own, our side YouTube page for Lazy Booking. But we're going to do a Survivor Series fantasy draft where we are going to draft Survivor Series teams of 5 by decade, where you can pick one person from each decade who has participated in the Survivor Series matchup. And then you're going to put them, we're going to compare our teams, and then we're going to see who people think would win. So it's going to be someone from the 80s, someone from the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s. It's
Love
team
it.
of 5. So it'll be myself, Eric, possibly Ritz, possibly Pete, See if we can get another one or two on there. And we're going to have a little fun with it. So we're going to try to do a little Survivor Series roundtable coming up. And again, talked about it already. Obviously, get myself going here. I got so much going on now that they booted me out. Don't forget, make sure you guys join us in December 9th, December 16th. Vince Russo is going to be a guest co-host to talk all things John Cena, Farewell Tour, and Last Time Is Now tournament, as well as Saturday night's main event on December 13th. We're going to preview and recap with Vince Russo. Full hour each night. We're going to have them. Very excited for that. So hope you guys will join us. Eric, sorry to leave you hanging high and dry. The internet is an interesting thing. And I felt bad because you can't stop the stream either. So you just
Nope, I was just gonna keep rambling until somebody told me to stop.
That's it. You did a good job, buddy. For myself, for Eric, for everybody here at A2D Radio, we love you guys. We appreciate you guys. And
don't forget for physical therapy, our sponsor.
Oh, geez, you're right. What is wrong with me? I'm all thrown
Dr.
off.
Paul Vidal.
Good, Eric. You do it.
SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com for all your physical therapy needs. I think I'm going to need one because I had to carry the last 2 minutes because of the internet connection. But go to SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com and get checked out. Dr. Paul Vidal.
There it is.
That's our guy.
It's our guy. It's our guy here at A2D Radio. For myself, for Eric, and everybody else, we love you guys. Take care. As Andy always says, tell someone you love them. Go Birds, 1098. We out.
See ya.